Well, hi. I just got back from a trip to the Washington backcountry discovery route on new Tenere 700, and I thought I'd do a little review to give you an idea, both on the highway and a little bit off-road, what I think of it. The reason I got it was I had a KLR and a 1200 GS, and the KLR just didn't have the power, and the GS was just a bit heavy, and it looked really nice, and I didn't want to drop the damn thing in the dirt. So plus I'm getting older and I didn't want to fuss with it off-road. So anyways, I sold both of them and got the Tenere. Right now it has a little over 3,000 miles on it. The first 1,000 is break-in period. You do 600 miles not higher than 5,000 RPMs, and then another 400 miles not any higher than 6,000 RPMs. I live in California, so our trip up to Washington was riding this up to Washington, and then doing a couple sections of the BDR, most of the first two, and these are my impressions of the bike. Let me take you around. I'll show you the add-ons that I did to it. First thing I'm going to show you is this little windshield above here. I got from TourTech, and it's amazing. The whole trip I never got a single bug on my face shield on my helmet. I mean, it was just fantastic, and you can adjust that thing up or down. You can adjust the angle of it. It was a great little purchase. I really like it. I had my GPS on the metal rack, and it was fine. You know, bumps and on the road and everything was fine. People talk about this thing vibrating your instrument panel, and yeah, it does, but so what? You know, it was fine. You know, no problems whatsoever. I've got TourTech crash bars and rack on the back, and an SW Motec center stand, and they work great because I dropped my bike in a parking lot before we started the Washington BDR, and it was fine, no problems. These down here, highway pegs, I made, and they come in really handy on a long trip. The seat is really uncomfortable on a long trip, so I got an air hawk, and that seemed to remedy the situation. I made it fine for the highway, and let's see, what else add-on wise? I guess that's pretty much it. The tires, I gotta tell you, these are the stock tires, and like I say, they got about 3,100 miles on them. And I don't know if I can get in close here, close enough. But these stock tires were great. I was really worried about them in the dirt because they work fantastic on the highway. They're no problem at all. But in the dirt, these things were just fine. No problems at all. This is after 3,000 miles. I still have, you know, plenty of rubber back here. I'm figuring the back tire will probably go at least 5, at least another 2. So I'm really impressed with these stock tires that come with it. I'm not a real aggressive dirt rider, so you know, if I was going to do a little bit more or a little more technical, I might want to do something a little bit more on that. Let me talk a little bit about speed on this thing and mileage. It's geared low. It's got tons of power. Well, it's got power for everything, but especially on the dirt. It's geared low, and you can rock in this thing. On the highway, I was always looking for another gear. It's running about 5,500 RPMs at 65 miles an hour, and I'd like to bring that down. So I may be looking into a sprocket and with 1 or 2 less teeth in the back, and try and bring my RPMs down just a little bit, because it runs fine. You got plenty of power. You can go, you know, 80, 90, whatever you want to do. It's just that it just seems like it's you know, going to make it not last as long. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, that's one of the things I'd like to look into, if you will. I used soft bags on it, and they worked great. When I dropped the bike, I mean, they were perfect, no problems. Coming home, or on the dirt anyways, the suspension was fine for the way I ride. You know, you guys that are more aggressive and doing a lot of stuff, you might want to look into a rear spring kind of a thing. But I had stock suspension, and I haven't even messed with the preload on it or the rebound at all yet. And it worked just fine for me on the BDR. First day we ran into a ton of potholes on the road, and you couldn't see them because of the lighting. You know, you get that intermittent light with the trees. And but it did just fine. And in the rocks, going over rocks and this and that and the other thing, it was fine. I never did bottom out, but like I say, I'm not a real aggressive rider either. So, you know, am I happy with the Tenere? And all I can tell you is, yeah, it works great. I don't miss my other bikes at all. To me, it's a KLR on steroids. You know, it's double the horsepower. Got another gear, and it's fuel injected, and the suspension's way better. You know, there's a lot of stuff aftermarket wise still that you can get for this thing. There's a ton of stuff, especially in Australia. Oh, I did put a unifilter, a foam unifilter in the airbox, and then I also bought a pre-filter that goes around the snorkel on your air filter when it gets really dusty, to kind of help keep, you know, your regular air filter from getting real bad. And both those worked great. There was no problem at all, type thing. And I was the one in the rear. My buddy was in front most of the time, so I was eating the dust. You know, I might have left this out. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but the bike is fairly wind sensitive. When I came back down through Nevada, I got hit with some fair amount of wind, and I don't know if it's the high profile or if it's that little windshield that I added in the front, but it moves around quite a bit in the wind. And of course I was really heavily loaded too, so you know, I had not only the bags, my soft bags, but I also had a big bag on the back, and also some stuff under that. I had my drone and a bunch of crap on top, so it was pretty heavily laden down. But in the wind it moves around a lot. So, and then I don't know if I mentioned gas mileage wise, but if you're going 65 and 70, you're running at about 52 miles a gallon, so it still gets really great gas mileage. But if you go 60 or less, you can get close to 60 or more, especially more if you even drop it down a little bit per gallon. So, and the dash, you know, you can constantly look and see, you know, what your mileage is, what you're averaging, what your trip mileage is. It's a great little screen in the front. It has a lot of information, the engine temperature, the outside temperature. So just about pretty much everything you want to know. And using the button to turn off the ABS was great. You know, you have to be stopped, but you press that button, boom, and it turns off the ABS, and away you go. So anyways, that's it, and I hope this helps you if you're in the market or looking for a T700. So that's my kind of overall overview of the Tenere 700. I'd highly recommend it. It's a great bike, and I'm really happy with the purchase.